Hi, my name is April Lovvorn-Gerhardt, and this is my war image presentation. My photographer was James Nakwe, and the image is the survivor of a Hutu death camp in Rwanda in 1994. What war does it come from? Who was fighting whom and why? Nakwe documented the atrocities of the Rwandan genocide. This genocide came about because of a conflict between two ethnic groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis. Violence broke out in April 1994, and it lasted about 3 months. During that time, about 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus were massacred by the Hutus and the Hutu majority government. The photographer was James Nakwe, and he was a political science and art history major at Dartmouth. He was inspired early on to become a documentary photographer because of the Vietnam War and civil rights movement. He devoted himself to documenting wars, conflicts, and social issues. He also was a contract photographer with Time magazine, and this image actually came from an assignment with Time magazine. What does the image show? According to Nakwe, he says that this is a Hutu man who did not support the genocide, had been imprisoned in a concentration camp, starved, and attacked with machetes. He managed to survive after he was freed and placed in care of the Red Cross in Rwanda in 1994, and that gave him the opportunity to capture this image. How is it composed and what formal elements does the photographer use? I think the most obvious is emphasis. The focus is the sharpest on the face and the hands, and the background is blurred. The fingers are out of focus, the shirt is out of focus, the background is very plain, but there is very sharp and intense focus on the face and the scarring on the subject's face. Line is also another prominent element. You can see several lines in the scarring as well as the fingers, and they sort of fan out in this radial shape. Color, there's a lack of color. It's a black and white image. It gives it a very serious and gloomy look. It looks very absolute. It looks very documentary. What was the intended interpretation or emotional response? This image was intended to evoke a sense of horror. The image highlights the human cost and permanent devastation left behind by conflict. And the image that's on the slide is another one taken in that series by James Nakwe, which shows a child and another ravaged human being. Who is the intended audience? This was done for a Time magazine spread. It uses this powerful image to convict those nations and individuals that turn their backs as the genocide took place in Rwanda. This image also won the award for World Press Photo of the Year. How or why did the image get dispersed or become famous? Again, this was an image published by Time magazine, which drew international attention to the Rwandan genocide. What makes this image so powerful? The image is powerful because of its simplicity. We're faced with a man and his scars. The fact that the scars are on his face elicits an emotional response because so much about an individual is interpreted or judged from the face. The image's impact or legacy. The image is a timeless depiction of what can occur when human dignity and decency are no longer respected or honored. This face could be any of us had we been born in the wrong place in the wrong time. It serves as a reminder that we must speak out against divisive rhetoric, bigotry, tyranny, oppression, lest we face this face be our face someday, which I think is incredibly timely in the face of some of the political atmosphere that's happening right now. Here are my references, and also as part of my research, I watched the documentary. It's called War Photographer, and it highlights the work of James Nakwe. Really a very powerful movie, and it gives you some insight into some of the risk and some of the motivation behind these war documentary photographers. So thank you so much for viewing my PowerPoint, and